Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Overwatch Open, or if you have just joined us, welcome all the same. The North American side of things is about to kick off. We have just witnessed Europe, and we're going to be doing this every single weekend, 4 weeks back-to-back of Overwatch action. And the key word is open. Anyone can sign up, anyone can play, and it's your opportunity to, hey, you could end up on TBS North America, $300,000. It's all to play for. And joining me here, of course, I'm Alex Machine Richardson. I'm joined by DDK and Jorasar. Jurasar.
Hey you, that dude with the Pokemon.
John.
Everything.
We call him John. John and Dan. Let's just quickly recap. We have already witnessed Europe. We took a 50-minute break. I hope you got your cups of tea and your orange juice and your non-discriminant drinks. How you doing, gents?
You're a big fan of the beverages, I've noticed.
Also, what is a discriminatory drink? I'm going to call that out.
Okay, so basically, I'm not saying go and drink your branded soda pop. I'm not saying that. I'm saying drink whatever you want, you know?
Okay.
Have a cup of tea. An orange juice. Non-branded orange juice.
An unbranded orange juice.
That's right.
Generic, guys.
Right.
Corner
I'm jumping through all these legal loopholes.
Support your local independent store.
Thank you very much. But gents, Europe's done and dusted. What did we witness? Let's just quickly touch on that before we focus on North America. John.
So I think the story of the matches that we've seen so far, the biggest one has to be Anox reunited.
Right.
What an incredible match that was. And I think Perma Genji Cam was a highlight, definitely, for the Quake pros coming through and shining and really doing a great job. It was a 2-0, but it was a very, very close 2-0.
And one name in particular you couldn't shut up about. I'll let you tell us who it was.
Yeah, who's that?
As mentioned, Genji, Cypher. Cypher's playing Genji. Kula, who is the other very legendary Quake player, took a bit of a backseat, was playing Lucio, you know, more support roles generally speaking. But the thing is about that result, it was very close, as John mentioned, but Cypher had to play out of his skin for them to win that one. So the question arises, can Cypher, you know, repeat those performances? Is that easily replicable for him against that caliber of team? You know, because Reunited did seem like overall a more consistent unit. So, I mean, the thing is, in Quake, Cypher was known to be able to pull out performances like that all the time.
Right.
But can he do that in this game? Because obviously, for them to do well, he's going to have to do that.
Exactly. I think the question's going to be, when Anox come up against a team who go, hang on a second, we shut down Cypher and the rest of the team collapses. Well, if that's their strategy, then we see what happens when he gets shut down.
So my question to you is, does this fall into the individual playing Genji, or does this fall into the presence of Genji? Is Genji, you know, the problem at this point in time? Is he such an influential hero that, or does it require a player like Cypher to be behind the wheel? Behind the wheel, yeah. He's actually playing with a gaming wheel.
The gaming wheel. And he breaks the wheel open and it becomes the sword.
Like this. We're brainstorming here.
Yep, this is good. I don't think Genji is the issue. I think that we've had previous patches before where Zenji has happened to be part of the meta and has been a very strong combination. Therefore, when it comes back into the meta, it's very easy for those traditionally strong Genji players to come out and say, herp-de-derp, I'm going to own face. And they do exactly that. It is up for the rest of the meta to figure out how to counteract this. It is way, way too early right now to go, this is overpowered. It's not. Genji's shining, but it's definitely not broken.
And to return to this tournament as a whole, I've called it the Overwatch Open, and there's a reason for that. We can actually break down how things are going to be going out across the weeks, and we'll show you the schedule and the match format as well. 256 teams is the limit. It's an open bracket. You can gather 5 of your friends and can join this league. You can have the opportunity to be playing against the big names. If you're watching Seagull stream and want a chance to play against the very best, you could have an opportunity to do so through this league, and you can find all of that information at FACEIT.com.
Seagull still stream Farah.
Does he?
I don't know. I want to find out.
Farah has disappeared off, and you can actually see the list of games we're going to be seeing. We talk about Luminosity. You'll be seeing them actually as our second game to be confirmed who against, and that's actually because Kingsman unfortunately did have to concede their spot.
Yep. And
so we'll be seeing Luminosity in that quarterfinal spot already. But first we start with Splice, and I need to get this right. ALGAE. It's a fantastic name. I want to know who was behind it. Yeah.
Is it a British-American pronunciation? Because I've heard, like...
How do you pronounce it?
I pronounce ALGAE, but I don't think ALGAE is incorrect.
Oh, man.
I think that actually might be regional.
Oh, so it sounds
CLG.
like... Okay.
Yeah, so this
sounds like that organization.
Sounds like, exactly, CLG.
LG.
That's the idea.
CLG. Oh, my God. That's actually quite clever.
Next level.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's good. It's a good warm-up for us as casters because puns are where we have our fun. Right?
Is that a little bit of a rhyme you're going for there as well, Dan?
No.
Sick rap.
I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying. I'm not trying things.
So where I want to take this discussion next, John, is the North American EU debate. As myself and Dan are all too familiar, there is usually a discrepancy between Europe and North America with our Counter-Strike backgrounds. We talk about that awful lot, but just quite briefly, can we touch on, where things stand currently, especially if there's North American viewers rubbing their hands together if they come from Counter-Strike?
Oh, yeah. And, of course, any viewers, well, maybe a couple of you coming from StarCraft as well. I get a lot of NA-EU discussion.
Sure.
I have to say, there is no debate at the moment that Team Envious, firmly based in North America, are the best team in the world.
With a European roster.
With a slightly international roster, this is true. I mean, they are physically located in America, and whether or not they count as EU is debatable. We are also in the UK. That could open up a whole nother can of worms, which we won't get into. That could be funny. Yep. But basically, they're the best team in the world. But what I would say is the gap between them and the second and third place teams has started to shrink. So a lot of the players on Envious were part of the infamous IDDQD team that went 55 matches non-stop winning during beta. That was pretty mad, and 4 of them have now become Envious. They're starting to look a little bit beatable, but I do mean...
like, what is the kind of the main strength of that team, would you say, all those players?
I think they are... It's a little bit speculation on my part because, frankly, so many teams have individually skilled players.
Sure.
But I feel like Envious are the team that have most successfully merged a minimum of 3 or 4 players' individual skill with supreme communication and teamwork. Everything they do looks like they're doing it as one. There are many teams, and this is quote-unquote tier 2, there are many teams that can do exactly the same thing some of the time. Envious seem to nail it. Exactly.
The frequency by which that they are achieving that. And actually, we're going to start talking a little bit more specifically about the maps that's coming up. Our first of our map pool, I have it in front of me, have Kings. Then we move into, wow, my handwriting is awful. That's Hollywood. That really doesn't look like it. And then Barney. That's the map pool.
I want to know what it looks like now.
I can show you. It looks like Halgard.
That looks
wow,
like
it looks like hieroglyphics.
Maybe keyboard? Keyboard?
There is definitely a Y in there, so that's I'm going for Hollywood. Anyway, Kings Row is our first map, gents, and I want to take this opportunity now. We do have some time. Dan, we'll start with you, just to kind of outline how this map plays specifically, because it's a map we've seen an awful lot tonight already in Europe. What have you picked up from the casting you did on Kings Row already early today?
Well, the funny thing is, I normally expect to see the first couple points go, well, not necessarily easy. The first one can be obviously quite difficult to take initially. You can see teams, instead of actually taking a lot of flanking approaches, they're just going to try to push straight through the statues. Generally quite passive play, but it tends to be that last point that's the really difficult one to take. But in the last matchup, we actually didn't see that dynamic come into play at all. It was actually a situation where Misfits were able to just actually aggressively abuse the second point, basically just cutting down the respawners and getting in there before they could set up any attacks. So I don't know if this is something that's coming more into play. Would you say that that second point is definitely going to be in contestation more? But I feel like that was just a dynamic between Misfits and SG1 in the recent matches we saw with Anna as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky dynamic. Numbani, Kings Row, Hollywood, you're all capturing the first point before the payload moves on through. But I would say Hollywood is the one that's most unique because the middle point is so much more open. It's all about the verticality. Kings Row, Numbani tends to play out in a similar fashion, but Kings Row is by far the more standard of the bunch.
Splice versus CLG. There you go. I'm going to say it for you. It's about to kick off. DDK and Jerosa are your casters.
All right, so our teams, they're going to be getting set up now. Looking forward to seeing what they bring here. We can already see the defense starting to take shape.
And troll. I spot a troll. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. We were looking at Widowmaker as well, but that will get changed in the time for the first match to begin.
So it looks like we won't see any more Anna. Of course, we saw a lot of Anna from Misfits in the EU segment, but we can see already the actions kicking off here towards the first point as we get a great charge there into the Reinhardt, actually pushing the defense all the way back there. Things looking quite difficult. We're going to have to see if this is actually going to amount to too much or if Reinhardt's his teammates will be able to hold down the front. Looks like that's the case so far.
And one of the original members, of course, of Not Enigma, all the way back in the beta, Clockwork, is going to be playing for Splice here. So they are the blue team, currently trying to hold the point. ALGAE are trying to move on in, and they're doing so in a very, very normal fashion. Everyone is behind Reinhardt. They're looking for the big, slow push, and they want to just slowly exert pressure. No fancy flags going on.
And that's Reinhardt's shield has taken a lot of damage there. Papa Smoke for Splice has finally been broken in that sense, and the push will continue. Let's see the ALGAE are able to actually capitalize, though. We have the play coming in, the D.Va shields coming up as well, and Lucio dropping the sound barrier there to try to give them an extra bit of health to work with, as Genji's going to pop his ult now, and ALGAE looking to try to break the defense with this, but Genji doesn't really have anyone to work with. His teammate's coming in a little bit too late there, and that might be all for naught, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Link on ALGAE was trying to get the same level of Genji we've seen so far this evening, but unfortunately failing a little bit there, getting taken out before a single kill was registered. Fortunately, teammates, though, are doing a good job. Mini on Reinhardt, a little bit amusing name choice there, actually getting 3 kills with those hammer swings.
Yeah, actually very good work in the end. It got kind of scrappy towards the end, but it does look like ALGAE will be able to claim that point. And we're seeing the usual kind of hold coming out here from the Splice side. You can see that McCree's just a little bit cautious not to over-peek up the stairs there. Doesn't want to get prematurely picked off. That could be very detrimental. And now the payload's finally coming in.
It does give them an awful lot of room, though, because what they're basically doing is falling back all the way to the next point. So they're looking for where can we be aggressive? Where are we able to pop on in here? And we have the high noon initiation. Transcendence going to be coming out from ALGAE to try and stop any damages coming out here. That's going to delay the attack moving in. Splice looking for another opening. Clockwork already back up to 50% on Deadeye, and both teams are going to reset. Currently 6v5. We are waiting for Link to join back up.
That was really nice there as well from Sickness of Splice. We saw, to open things up, a really nice self-destruct out of the D.Va, and that really cleared a lot of space, broke up the initial plays that perhaps was ALGAE were looking for to try to remove the defenders and allow the payload to make it through the meandering road onto the next point. But we've got the next attack coming in now. Let's see if ALGAE can make it work. We've got the sound barrier getting dropped there. There's still self-destruct and McCree's ultimate available, but the Transcendence will be popped here to give Splice some extra survivability as the push continues here from ALGAE.
Trugger tried his very best to get a couple of kills there on Reaper, launching the Death Blossom, picking off 2 before he died himself. Interestingly, in the middle of that melee, Link has switched onto Pharah. That's right, guys, you heard that right. It's almost like the patch didn't happen. So I'm very, very eager to see if ALGAE can make Pharah work here.
And there is still a self-destruct available there for ALGAE, but I think we're going to see that popped actually to try again to clean up some space, or perhaps not. We've got the sound barrier coming in, and of course the attempt to retake this second point is coming from Splice. They really want to be able to retake this and set up and maybe be able to get some aggressive play onto the spawn of ALGAE, but first they must break them, and it's not looking too amazing for them just yet. But that said, Clockwork able to get a triple kill there out of McCree, and that is going to really help things go the way of Splice here to retake the payload. As we can see, Reinhardt just stuck in the open there with no DPS behind him, and this looks like a solid clear out here from Splice.
It's really difficult to judge because the teams have been trickling in rather than having a proper 6v6 team fight, but it is also worth noting that Pharah's biggest contribution to this game so far is promptly dying twice. So hopefully Link can go ahead and make something work with that. I always love, especially on this middle point, Pharah coming out of nowhere and using Barrage to fantastic effect, often together with Zarya, who admittedly we don't see in this game.
Yeah, that is true, and we saw so much good Zarya play. Loads of good Graviton opportunities here. Yep. But will justice be dispensed, as you are alluding to? Of course, the ultimate now has been fully built by Link, and he's trying to get a good position here. There it is, looking for the justice. It will be dispensed. 2 frags for him, and able to get a good vantage point here to throw in some additional rockets and get a lot of damage in. So the initial play perhaps wasn't all that, but this time it's going to be very effective from Link, and buying a lot of time and, again, an additional space here created for the ALGAE side.
Yeah, this is actually quite solid from them. I'm pretty sure this is going to allow them to make some inroads. They just take the second point there. They're doing a very, very nice job. Credit to Splice, though. They held ALGAE at that point for quite some time, to be fair, and it is worth it in case this comes down to a stopwatch tiebreaker. And frankly, it looks like they're going to be able to complete. The question is how long, because 3.5 minutes to make this point is plenty of time. And we have the initiation coming out from D.Va.
And yeah, that self-destruct in that open space is so hard to deal with, and you can see it's going to be a great starter here for SPLYCE as they try to make the final push, and we get all the ultimates popped there, the sound barrier, the key one to enable them to really get in and get more self-destructs coming out as well, and that's going to miss the mark a little bit, and we'll have to see if there can be anything here for Splice to do, because so far it's looking like ALGAE are pushing this to the limit.
They're doing a very good job of not getting picked off, by the way. Individual heroes dying before the main battle begins just isn't something that's happening with ALGAE. So they might be less known as a team than Splice, but they're doing a lot of things absolutely right. And I love, by the way, even though Link just died, that he was on the back looking for a flank, looking for opportunities to get through to that ultimate. Unfortunately, a couple of people are now going down, and this is mainly thanks to the beat getting dropped from Kozin, allowing Splice to crash on in. But with 2.5 minutes remaining and the payload in a very advanced position, there's a lot of hope here for ALGAE.
Yeah, it was really great to see that Splice were able to actually hang on there as well. And as far as ultimates go here for the defensive side of Splice, they do have the Death Blossom and Zenyatta also there with the Transcendence. And so this next push is going to be quite an interesting one. We've got Mini there trying to lead the way with Reinhardt, as you guys can see, trying to get his teammates in position for the attack. And there it is, the Death Blossom. But the Transcendence was popped just in the nick of time to neutralize that Death Blossom attempt. And it's pretty even here on the trades. Splice looking to try to hold things down, but ALGAE not to be denied here as D.Va goes in. And again, trying to just hold things down here to give his teammates something to work with, being the tank in this position, but looks like he's run out of mates to synchronize with there.
Yep, doing a, well, just a little bit more in terms of teamwork would actually be good. I feel like small adjustments in play will allow them to push this further forward. And D.Va actually with an excellent ult there, just constantly trying to hold. Where is ALGAE? Are they going to be able to push in? It looks like they're still regrouping, unfortunately. And Mini is all the way back at spawn on Reinhardt. That's going to be a crucial part of their team.
It is so close, but those last inches do not come easily on King's Row, especially considering that Splice have a good setup at the moment, still able to push back and with another Transcendence ready on a Zenyatta there. Splice should be able to withstand some punishment. There's only a minute left for ALGAE to make the play in, and they do have a sound barrier to be dropped here. So it looks like Reinhardt will be making his way in, trying to set his teammates up, really starting to try to suffocate this defense, getting very close indeed, but there's still a lot of players here for Splice.
Yep, and oh, hang on a second. Deadeye coming out from Clockwork, trying to find some purchase, not quite able to do so this time around. And Hui going down there. And okay, now we have Link. Are we going to be earning our muster? We are indeed. I'm very pleased that Farah got a good game in. I'm so happy right now.
This is something that's really cool to see because we didn't see really any situational switches in the European segment of the Overwatch Open here today. So it's nice to see that Farah switch came in, and you can see exactly why. As you mentioned, there were a couple deaths, but as soon as the barrage was the meter was built for that.
Yep.
I mean, we can see this was where it all started for Link.
I'll get confirmation, actually, from production when possible, but I do believe that was around 7 minutes, 26 seconds, which is kind of... it's not great, and it's also not a terrible time for King's Row here. I would say that ALGAE were a reasonable time. They pushed where they needed to, did a relatively good job, and we'll see what Splice can do in response.
So, well, I mean, we saw earlier some interesting holds on this map. I would be curious to see if we could get more of that. So, Splice, are you looking for them to do anything in particular when it comes to the offense?
So we're going to be moving on in there. And we'll see what happens there. So it sounds like the time might have been 6:42. I'll double check. It certainly wasn't 16. It definitely didn't last that long. So a little bit of a misstep, but we'll get that clarified in just a second as the teams now switch around. Splice now going. Well, there's no point taking a look at the composition because we might get trolled by a couple of Torbs again. We'll see. Yep. But ALGAE going for very similar contents. So Mini on Reinhardt once again. Tekaside on Lucio. Spo will be playing Zenyatta. Boroped, I wish it was Boroped. Yeah. Boroped is going to be on D.Va. Hui is once again on McCree, and Linko is on Reaper. And we have confirmation. It's 8 minutes and 21 seconds. Oh yeah, because I started my personal stopwatch a minute in. That makes a lot of sense. So we have started now. We're moving towards objective A, and 8:21 is the time to beat. We'll see if Splice can better.
So here they go for the first offense, looking to build all those meters and see what opportunities they can seize here as they try to abuse the defense. I'll see ALGAE, and we get a bit of flanking action coming in there, but it's not going to be all that effective. And so far, though, it actually does look like the offense is going, or rather the defense is going pretty darn well here. You can see Link just going ham there with Reaper.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. That's 4 kills already for the defensive side. ALGAE actually doing a great job of keeping this alive to start things off. And I'm trying to work out what might be different there, because I feel like that fight went a little faster than we would have otherwise expected. Splice, even if they lost the fight, it felt more like a crumple than anything else.
Yeah, it was very convincing. And well, here's the second attempt, see if this can be any better. They're going to attack through the house here and see if they can get something going, but they are already being stuck behind these choke points. It's a very awkward engagement, relying on defense matrix and the Reinhardt shield to get in, and that is what's happening right now. We'll have to see if Splice are going to be able to take this one. As again, they've got some kills, they're falling back, and then they're re-entering from another angle. This might be the way to do it, actually.
There was some... Okay, so what was really good about that fight was that they were able to pick off 1 or 2 heroes and then move back into the house, right? When you're close to your spawn point, even if you lose 1 or 2, you don't mind. What was bad about the fight was that everyone moved outside, and then someone went, hang on a second, let's go back in. And there wasn't really much commitment. Luckily, the opposing team are far enough from the spawn that maybe that wouldn't have mattered, but in another situation, you would argue that would have been a mistake. But as things stand, it's worked out for them. It looks like they're on top of the payload now, and Splice should be able to complete this.
Yeah, looking very good for them indeed, and they will be getting a couple extra kills as ALGAE try to slow them down a little bit, and that would be quite nice. But looks like it's not been all that successful. So everyone from ALGAE will respawn, regroup, looking for the first defense. But they're not as far forward here because, again, they didn't get very many kills when eventually Splice did take the point. So that they don't have the ability to have a forward setup and have everybody there to defend, especially considering the Splice push so much to try to catch anybody off.
So here's my opinion. I think ALGAE need to not sit back at that point. They need to be a little bit more aggressive, because the fact is 8:21 is a very, very beatable time. And if you allow them to more or less go within a couple of inches of taking the second point for free, then it's going to be a problem. And this is why you see them advancing rather aggressively up this dog leg. This is what ALGAE have to do. I like it. An excellent Earth Shatter there to start off this engagement, and Papa Smurf is going to town. Definitely a phrase I never expected to be saying in my life. I feel like I'm watching the wrong fanfiction channel right here.
Yeah, just swinging a hammer, making it happen. Dream is alive, and we got some headshots coming in here from Clockwork. He wants to finish them all off, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Great space. That Earth Shadow was money from Splice and Papa Smurf. So that's really, really nice. ALGAE in a lot of trouble right now because, as you say, initially kind of giving up a bit of space, bit of indecision, because then they kind of decide, okay, we're going to go forwards now. So something we can probably talk about a little bit later, but now the payload's getting kind of close, and this could be problematic.
I can confirm that they have 4 minutes and 56 seconds at the point where they took that to complete the map. This is a lot more time than ALGAE had when they were pushing, so they need to do something exceptional. They need a full hold here, they need a couple of team wipes, and they really need to buy 2 or 3 minutes to stand a chance now of effectively pushing Splice back.
You can see Clockwork just working the sides there with McCree, trying to get the damage in that he can there for Splice to just harass ALGAE in the defense as they decide to go in. Now they have, of course, a lot to work with. Do Splice, they've got a couple ultimates. They've got Zenyatta's ultimate as well as Clockwork's, and also the sound barrier, the all-important sound barrier ready to get in there. You can see the speed boost coming in as they've got Zenyatta all over the place as the push will commence, and that is also money. 3 kills there for Clockwork. Can they recover?
So very nice. He was waiting for Reinhardt to have the shields down. A quick bit of momentary lapse, basically a stun or just trying to spot that out. Immediately gets a triple kill, and now the payload is moving very swiftly towards the destination. They're only 4 minutes 30 in, and they still have nearly 4 minutes to complete this. So we're not really clock watching anymore. We know that if this completes, it will basically be a win for Splice.
Can they get it done, though? I've seen the payload push back from this point, but it looks very, very problematic. Really nice self-destruct coming in there. Able to get a couple kills in Will Boroped. I also want to call him Broped, but unfortunately, convince him to change his name. That's not going to happen.
I want people to tweet in photos of what a Broped would
I was going
look
to say,
like.
is it just like a really muscly moped? Or what are we talking
It's like
here?
a, yeah, like maybe like a moped with the world's largest exhaust that makes the world's biggest. Because you have annoying mopeds that make big noise, but a broped would back it up with muscle. That's kind of how I feel.
Reminds me of that South Park episode, but that's a story for another time.
Yes, quite. That is better than reminds me of that night out, to be fair. So you've done well there. Right, we're moving in for another attack here. Splice trying to seal the deal. Still got 3 minutes to go, but ALGAE have successfully made the first hold. For them to be competitive now here, they will have to do it 2 or 3 times in a row, though. And here we go. Ult getting popped everywhere. Transcendence on the side of defense to try and keep people alive, but 2 are already gone.
Yeah, the Death Blossom coming in did do quite a bit of damage, and the pressure continues, but just ever so slightly, I see ALGAE holding on at the moment. ALGAE, whatever. I say ALGAE. What you say, ALGAE, right?
Yeah, ALGAE.
ALGAE, okay.
Good with ALGAE.
I'm from the south. We say ALGAE, I think.
Yeah, we're this side of the pond. I think it's America that goes ALGAE.
Right.
Answers on a postcard, chat. Let us know on Twitter. I believe it's ALGAE American, ALGAE European, but correct
So
me.
why did Alex even bring it into question, being a Brit himself? I will never know.
He's too impartial and too international. That's his problem. I mean, I'm pretty international, but British English is where I'm at.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. So the payload is slowly moving back, actually. And you know what? Is the dream real? Is ALGAE going to be able to hold this off? They're just under 2 minutes left to go. There is the initiation with the explosion. Oh, no! And I think that was a McCree flashbang, by the way, forcing the shield to go down. And the D.Va ult suddenly gets 2 people. Did I say the dream was real? They're about to wake up.
Yeah, that was absolutely glorious there. And of course, McCree of Clockwork just coming in to finish it all off. Nice bit of polish at the end, wrap it all up in a nice little bow. And that will be that. Splice not entertaining a comeback. ALGAE will be done on map 1. King's Row is to be theirs for the taking. And
Dream was real, but it was real for about 12 seconds.
And
I
think to some extent, you know, you made a really good point there when they gave up so much space on the second point and kind of decided, because of course Splice initially they said, okay, we want to constrict the amount of space you have to defend, so we survive with so many players, we're going to push as far forward as we can to limit your space to set up a defense. And then they fell back, and that was the moment when ALGAE was starting to think, okay, maybe we should actually go forwards instead of trying to create an engagement there.
I mean, I'm trying to work out who I would actually call out in that attack or in the defense. Both sides really played kind of solid, but I feel like ALGAE had moments where their teamwork was absolutely spot on. But unfortunately, they were confined to just moments. It meant that individual players like Clockwork were able to shine through. I feel there were at least 2 or 3 Deadeyes where Clockwork absolutely nailed it. But I want to point out the D.Va ult in conjunction with the flashbang, the Deadeyes in conjunction with other people taking Reinhardt down to take the shield down. There were at least 2 or 3 that were made very, very effective by good teamwork, good communication, and knowing the shield wouldn't be there.
Yeah, because in many senses, they were actually fighting their way back, but maybe we can talk about that more because, of course, a quick break is required as I think the players want to get into the second map very, very shortly, and that will be New Barney, so stay tuned, we'll be right back.